Hey everybody, welcome back. So I've posted 3 games from, has it been 3? No, I've posted 2 games from the Albany tournament. That took place in July of 2022. It's still July when I'm posting this. And yeah, they've both been losses, but I did win more games than I lost in Albany, so I wanted to show a win. It's just that like my wins weren't as interesting as my losses, especially now that you know that I won this game, which sort of spoiled it. Uh, but yeah, I just wanted to show a good game, I guess. Just to thwart the negativity. So I'm playing Zach Ansell, prodigal player, of course. You know him as 5Crab13 or whatever on Twitch. He's best Babble Royale player in the world and a pretty good Scrabble player. He just doesn't study, so there's a lot of words he is unfamiliar with. Um, as we did see in the Scrabble Players Championship this year, the winner Michael Fagan also is not as strong as some other top experts in terms of word knowledge, and didn't matter. So yeah, definitely can get very far in Scrabble, and I always say this with limited word knowledge. Um, it's really one of the most over valued parts of the game is knowing the dictionary back to front. So, anyways, Zach goes first. He opens with TEL. When he played this, I don't know. I sort of like shrugged it off. I feel like I would never make a 3 tile 6 point play my opening play. I'd probably just exchange, um, so as not to give back my opponent lots of floaters to my opponent. But this play is probably fine. I don't know what he kept. But yeah, whenever a play like this comes down, a play that I look at that I'm like, this looks weird. Always makes me think about perspective um, and strategy. And so it's interesting to think about taking 6 points um, or exchanging so as not to give your opponent prime floaters to play through. There's this concept that I guess the older guard of players tends to value, which is covering the star, making a play so that your opponent can't get a double. Um, but that sort of thing is definitely backfires when you're giving your opponent the right letter to play through. That's not what happened. I had this rack of waftage, and you might think waftage. That's a silly word. It is a word, and I was fairly certain that playing it would get me a challenge. Zach knows that I know um, that he doesn't know very many words, and yeah, he knows that I might try to phony him. I know that I might try to phony him, um, but in this position, indeed, the phony word that I played was not phony at all. So luckily, I got the word plus the challenge. Um, and yeah, I mean, if you don't know this word, it looks like a complete and utter phony. So definitely um, don't blame Zach for challenging. Here I drew into this rack and played rivalry. I actually found a word with a Y for once. Zach plays annotate, which surprised me because it made me think that he must have really hated the word that I played, because it's hard to give up this double double, or the possibility of it. Like maybe I'll block it. Um, so yeah, I mean he obviously had bingos elsewhere, but it really made me think that he really thought I was trying to get one by him. So that's a win for me. um, this is my rack now. I play Kaid. Pretty easy stuff. Zach plays queen. Gets rid of his U, gets rid of 2 vowels. And I have this rack. Far too many S's, but happy that he doesn't have said S's. I couldn't really find any good plays. I guess there's this play of Sires, which scores, leaves pretty nicely, but does create possibility of just words opening this part of the board, this O column, which is probably not a big deal, but it's definitely something that I'm not super fond of. Crises is an option, but again, creating some space on the right side of the board that's like pretty dead right now. Not necessarily my cup of tea here. I ended up playing Sick, which sets up an E hook. So it's not actually very defensive. It looks defensive at first, but sets up an E and a K hook and an S hook. But I wondered if Zach knew the E hook, because SICE is not a 4-letter word that comes up super often. And like I said, Zach does sometimes struggle with even shorter words, especially since playing Babble Royale might mess with your word knowledge a little bit as well. You might think that certain words like SICE are potentially Collins only. You might think, well, why is Josh making this play if it takes an E? Like, this looks like a very defensive play if size isn't a word. So it might actually get into your mind that way. And I think, not totally sure, I think Zach mentioned he was not 100% sure of size. Thought it might be Collins only. But yeah, lots of plays are similarly valued here. I like keeping my vowel. So something like 6 or Sick are the two plays that I would make. So I played Sick. He plays Keg. 23. Here I had this rack, Jossies. I played Soya. I could play Josses, get rid of all of my S's. It's a really funny play. But I decided to go for another bingo. And sort of interfere with whatever's going on here. This OK hook and this ER word is very hard to hook. But I liked not allowing any crazy stuff happening over here, even though it's extremely unlikely. Poi comes down, 32. I gave him that play. I have this rack, Shogies, and I play Ogreish. Now I'm not so opposed to creating more space on the right side of the board. Now, of course, a play through the O is going to happen probably. Bingos from the M column I don't care about because they don't reach the double word score. And I'm holding an S, so a lot of them I'll be able to hook for a lot of points. So yeah, this play looks good. Next, EM comes down. Zach, he's still staying within striking distance, so I need to continue to be careful about what I'm playing. Here I could play Hex, or I could play Oxic. Honestly, Hex might be better. Oxic does create some problems, which are not going to get blocked. Just bingos from the C would definitely hurt if they ever occur. So I'm not super fond of this play anymore, but it's so many points. It's very hard to say no to such a play. There's no telling whether Zach is close to a bingo or not. He's been playing off a few tiles at a time, but scoring points. So those could be his good tiles, those could be his bad tiles. But yeah, the problem with Hex is it also creates a problem on the M column, and it's possible that some issues will occur after some overlapping plays. And the CE-IOS leave is just not going anywhere on this board. So Oxic gets the gold star from Quackle. Still not a huge fan of it. And as we notice, the Sice hook has not gone anywhere yet. Leap is played for 24. He's getting rid of a lot of E's and not using the hook, so I'm sort of Happy about that, especially since I've now drawn into a bingo of coveters, except I play vetoers because I somehow completely space on the word coveters. I even wrote it alphabetized on the top of my score sheet, right above Zach's name, and for some reason just could not see coveters. And right before I started this video, I looked at the score sheet and I saw CEORSTV. I was like, oh, coveters. Did I miss that? And I didn't remember the position well enough to know whether or not I missed that. But I did miss that. So really, really dumb. My play of Oxic reaped such good benefits, and yet I made a huge mistake by missing it. So I think maybe my play was held, but I don't think so. I'm not sure. Zach exchanged two. Exchanged both of his eyes. Except I don't know what he actually exchanged. That's just how I put the exchanges in Quackle. Drawn to this rack, I play Fraziel. I'm not like super fond of this play. Does allow some stuff to happen. Board to open. Medium term. I could also just play Frizz. I could also just play Tiz. I'm actually curious what Quackle thinks. Obviously, the AILR leave of Frizz looks okay. It hits the C a decent amount, but when it doesn't score anything. So by playing Fraziel, I'm sort of making it more likely I'll be able to keep scoring down the line. However, yeah, it could just be that the defense plus the added value of hitting the C more often is worth it. But I guess after missing coveters, I'd just been not wanting to hit this C at all. Just trying to be like, oh man, I shouldn't have made this play. It opens this lane here that I can't really deal with. And like just foregoing all of the possibilities that I have for this C. I hope I don't miss another bingo from it. But yeah, either play works. I'm winning the game no matter what, pretty much. And anti-air comes down for Mr. Ansell. He plays for 67 because he doesn't want to play underneath and create this huge spot, which makes perfect sense. It actually took a while here because thought there might be something better, but this is pretty much the best play, so good job to him. Maybe you could play Martini and try and leave this triple lane open for later, but I mean, that's just splitting hairs. And here I had this rack and couldn't find any good plays. I think I did see queenside. It's really funny. I probably should have made that play just for the content. But I decided to play Udo and try to bingo again. I felt I was not losing this game ever, although this does allow me to lose the game sometimes. So for example, if let's see what sort of bingo he could have. I mean, that doesn't fit anywhere. What about, it's very hard to find a, that's too many letters. It's very hard to find a bingo with these tiles, but I'm gonna actually just go like this. See what the biggest bingo is. Probably from the C, Chambray. Yeah, let's say he plays that. Or Candyman. Or Chat Room. Yeah. What's the bingo that uses the least good tiles? I don't know. Candyman. ABHOORTUW. Okay, there are no bingos with that. Anyways, point being, still possible for me to lose after a huge bingo. I was trying to see a possibility of like two bingos, like one here and then one here. But the problem is, which I noticed in the game, I have the last E. So it's going to be very hard to bingo without an E, especially bingo twice. So I felt very safe here and wanted to go for extra spread. Yurta comes down. There's no S hook to worry about. Here I had this rack. And once again, I'm going straight for the bingo with Rad. Actually going to see what championship player thinks. I do have, like I said, the last E. I don't see any bingos possible from Zach's side of things. If he had a bingo, I could probably outrun it. Cockle doesn't even find my play, which means it's the best play. So I could play something like Dry to block the YA hook. I played Rad. And if I draw a bingo that ends in E, plays in both spots, and he can't have anything down here because, again, I have the last E. This was Zach's rack, and I think he noticed that I could bingo in either spot, and he couldn't block both. So he just ended up playing Umbo to try and score with the WH with like Wah or something on the next turn, which looks like good play. He could play Whom and take the extra points just in case I bingo, but this seems pretty good as well. So Umbo comes down, and I drew into this rack and was very happy to drop down Nardine to get the 515 to 358 victory. Like I said, see, it's boring when I win. There's like nothing to really talk about. Everything is like totally okay. I did make a terrible mistake on veto errors, and other than that, the game is pretty clean. I won a challenge, and yeah, it just seems like all the games I play against Zach end up like me scoring 500 to his 350 or something. I don't know why that is. I'm sure one day he'll take me down. But yeah, that was the game. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode.